Columbia-born actor Lee Thompson Young found fame at a young age. He made his mark as an actor, starring in primetime TV, movies, and commercials.
But tonight, his last television appearance airs on TNT, one that was filmed before he tragically took his own life last year. Tonight, for the first time, his family breaks their silence and talks with WIS about the actor's struggles with mental illness. PJ Rendower reports.
1994.
This is the place where his life started.
Velma Love was busy raising her youngest child, her natural-born entertainer, Lee Thompson Young.
Well, he would just kind of seek out wherever he could get an audience, and he would perform. He would tell stories, he would do poetry, he would do speeches.
For any other child, it might have been just a phase, but Lee took his passion for performance into his own hands.
The next thing he asked, could he have some business cards made? And I said, well, what would it say? He said, well, it would say Lee Thompson Young, actor, poems, stories, and speeches. He would just hand out cards and said, you know, get in touch with me and I can come and do stories. And people did.
At age 12, Lee persuaded his mother to move to New York, where he was quickly signed by a talent agent.
I remember being in a meeting when I got the phone call about the Big Mac, and I jumped up. You know, I'm like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. No, Dad.
He was my little brother accomplishing one of his goals in the time frame that he set, and me being the planner, I was just like, I taught him that.
Lee's commercial spots would eventually land him to his biggest starring role in the famous Jet Jackson. But there were still some things he couldn't predict or control.
In his late teenage years, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And I noticed some periods of sadness. And that stabilized quickly.
He would sometimes call me and, you know, say he was feeling a little sad, but again, it was always a quick, you know, recovery.
According to USC psychiatrist Dr. Ashley Jones, Lee's diagnosis isn't uncommon. 2.6% of U.S. adults are affected by bipolar disorder annually.
It was very different than kind of the normal ups and downs that we have during the day. The depressive episodes usually last about 2 weeks, and with that we see depressed mood, hopelessness, sadness. With mania, they're often euphoric or grandiose with high self-esteem.
But with medication and therapy, Lee continued on his road to success. The roles got bigger. By 29, Lee was a regular on another popular TV show. In August of 2013, something changed.
After we learned that Lee had been found dead in his apartment due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound, we of course were stunned. I guess, you know, that's the question that everyone would ask, and we really don't know those answers, and there's no way to know.
It's something that's very difficult to predict, suicide, and so there's a lot of, you know, looking at risks and sort of being in treatment, but ultimately a lot of times we're left with just not understanding why things have happened the way they have.
After almost a year of silence, Lee's family is finally opening up about his life and tragic death. They've just launched the Lee Thompson Young Foundation to help remove the stigma surrounding mental illness.
We know Lee wasn't the only one, and for them to see everything that he accomplished in the 29 years, I mean, it's more than some people accomplished their whole lives, that he accomplished in 29 years, and he was able to do that even with the mental illness. And yes, it ended tragically, but, you know, through that, we're inspired.
Lee always remembered Columbia as his home, and in death, his hometown continues to pay tribute to one of its brightest stars.
This is where he began, and this is where our continuation of his work will begin.
PJ Rendower, WIS News 10.